Well, happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. I am in Dunedin. Unbelievable. This time last week I was in bloody China and now I'm in Dunedin. So both my parents are from Dunedin, so I kind of grew up hanging out in Dunedin, and every May and August school holidays, my parents flicked my brother and I away to Dunedin, and we would spend 1 week with my mother's mother and 1 week with my father's mother, and we had this very contrasty world because my mother's mother, she was one of those grannies that grew all her own fruit and veg and bottled, or I'd learned how to do bottling and making relish, and we'd go out to the garden and pick the carrots for dinner, and oh my God. And then my father's mother, we used to go to the dairy. We used to walk to the dairy once a day to buy her cigarettes, and she would let us buy whatever we wanted on her account, and we ate everything out of a packet and just sat in a room while she smoked and, placed her bets on the horses. So it was quite a contrast. We loved it. I loved it. My whole life was a contrast. I really enjoyed it. So that was funny. And we used to hang out with, all my cousins and hang out in Dunedin. So I love Dunedin. And I've been down here this weekend organising. Oh my God, it's been quite a scene. A surprise party. It was my uncle's 70th birthday. So my uncle, who I'm very close to, it's his 70th. His son and I hatched a plan to create a surprise party, and it's been bloody exciting. So my uncle was famously attacked by a great white shark at St Clair Beach about 52 years ago or something. And so he's kind of famous and was always called Shark Bait, and is quite well known in surfing circles in Dunedin. So for his 70th, we decided to hire the surf club that he used to be a member of and get him down here. So we've foiled this big plan, and his brother rang him and said, why don't you come down and have, a weekend in Dunedin to celebrate your birthday like old times? And he thought that's a good idea. And then we secretly arranged for 40 family members to all be there, which was fucking mad. It was crazy. Anyway, it was already crazy because we had family coming from Perth, from Fiji. We had his best friend coming from Brisbane, and we were all coming from the North Island and all over the South Island and whatever. And we were organising accommodation and flights and venues and all the things, right? So that was, that was pretty full on. And then you got all the family drama of, is she coming? And, oh, why is he coming? And where are they staying? And all the bullshit. And then we ended up with the worst rain in, I don't know, a million years in Dunedin. So Dunedin got flooded quite badly. I was here on Thursday for my event. And then the roads were closed and the airport was threatening to close, and my cousin's house nearly slid down a hill, and it's been all on. So not only do we have a surprise, we had airports not working, we had people stuck doing secret back road trips and running roadblocks to get through. Oh, tell you, it was like a movie. So anyway, that's been my weekend. It's been very big. And so I'm still down in Dunedin, and today is my youngest baby, 17th. Well, I've got to get that right because the Saturday night was my uncle's 70th. This is my youngest son, Felix's 17th birthday today. So we are in Dunedin, so that I love it because I'm with all my babies, all 4 children. So nice. So Mark and I don't get very many opportunities to hang out with all 4 of our children because, they're all adults and things now, and they have jobs and responsibilities, but we've managed to all hang out. So we've got the whole day today hanging out, which is lovely. So today's big focus is just about honouring my baby, who doesn't really want to be honoured. He doesn't want a birthday. He doesn't want a scene. So anyway, we'll take him out for brunch and then, I don't know, buy him a new hat or something. So that's what we're doing. And that's quite cute. And then I've got kind of a lot going on this week because on Tuesday, I've got lots of head home late Monday. Then what have I got? Oh, I'm going to my personal trainer. That's a big thing. Getting on with that, I'm doing good with that, doing very good with that, and getting lots of work done because I haven't been at home much. So I've got a stack of shit to do. When you have a stack of shit. So I've got a very busy day Tuesday. Then Wednesday, I'm off to Napier to work with a client up there. I'm very excited. Running a leadership day in Napier. So that's going to be gorgeous for a bunch of kindergarten teachers. So we'll be doing leadership and how do you deal with change? Doing a bit of bending the heads. I like to bend people's heads. Bend the heads to get excited about change. So that's a big day, Wednesday, Napier and back. And I've also got an appointment with my gorgeous naturopath, Susan Hunter, and we've just got my genetic testing back. I had my genes tested. I strongly suggest you do this. It's not cheap, but fuck, it's good. So I had my genes tested about 10 years ago, but the test I did was a bit kind of low rent. It wasn't a very good test. Susan's got a very good one now. And so I had to do this big spitty, bloody mouth swabby, spitty thing. And then I get this genetic testing back, and it gives you, basically it tells you what you're going to die of. It's good to know. Good to know. And so it tells you that based on your genetic profile, you've got a very high chance of cancer, you've got a very high chance of, heart disease, blah, blah, blah. And so then you can work around that, right? Which I think's unbelievable. I love that. I love data. I love the idea of getting data on my body. So I'm having this test done. It's like $500 or $600 to have this test done. But I think it's pretty exciting. So you get a full genetic profile, and it tells you everything about how your body works and what your body needs and what your body doesn't need, and whether you need to be careful of, what are the things you need to be careful of? Is cholesterol going to be the thing that does you in? Is it sugar? Is it, what's the thing? Are you more likely? So if you know that you've got a really high heart disease risk, that means you can do stuff, you can take supplements and things that are going to sort of support that, or you can do certain exercises, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's pretty cool having that knowledge. I think it's amazing now, the amount of knowledge we can actually access, and the amount of, I just love to have knowledge about my body. I want to know what my blood's high and low, and I'm always gathering information because I think knowledge is power, right? And having the knowledge, you want to have this knowledge, to know that you're going to have a heart attack. You don't just want to have a heart attack. I mean, that's awesome. So I love the idea of that. I love getting ahead of that. So that's a big day, isn't it? Thursday is my husband's birthday. So that'll be about honouring him. So there'll be, some honouring happening. Friday, we're having dinner with friends, which is going to be lovely. And more work. Oof, got a lot of work to catch up on. Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, so there you go. I've got lots of, my focuses this week are about honouring. And, family's a funny thing, having spent a weekend with 40 people who are related to me. What's that about? Isn't it funny? I heard once a story that families are like little bags of rough stones, and God selects stones, puts them in a velvet bag, and you rub around in this little velvet bag your whole life and rub each other's edges off. And by the time you die, you're a polished stone, and your family have been there to rub your edges off. Now, I really like that as an idea. I love that. Because I'm like, you were grouped together for a reason. So for someone decided, these 5 should go in there, these 4 should go in there, this 8 should go in here. And then sometimes, you get people in your family and think, why the fuck are you in my family? And they're usually here to teach you something. And I think when we don't hang out with our family, we're missing an opportunity to learn about ourselves. So if any of you listening have got people in your family that piss you off or that really rip your nighty, like, what is it about them? And what can you learn? I love that idea. I love it. So it's like, and I also love the idea of going into family events with a strategy. So I go, right, these are my favourites, right? So out of these people, and I talked about this in my book, The Lickable Third, I reckon a third of your family, you fucking adore them. A third of them, that is fine. You're not too bothered either way. And a third you can't stand. So you've got to have a strategy of going, right, how am I going to get maximum time with them and minimise my time with them? Because, if you've got that boring, dreary uncle that you think, fucking hell, every time he walks towards you, just leave. Like, you don't have to put up with dreary, boring people. Like, I think you need to be polite and gracious, but don't unnecessarily put yourself in a position where you're just like, fuck, my eyelids are turning inside out now, mate. You're so boring. Just don't do that to yourself. That is self-abuse. It's self-abuse to put yourself across the table from someone who fucking drives you nuts. If you were really being generous and kind to yourself, you would just move yourself to the other end of the table. You'd just make an excuse and say, I'm just going to go and get a drink when they started talking, and you just disappear and hide. Like, fuck, it's boring, isn't it? So, I think making excuses for your own sanity, that is what love would do for yourself. That is self-love and self-protection, man. Because some people, you don't have to hang out with all of them, do you? So that's what I've been doing. I've been noticing my family and hanging out, seeing who I've got something in common with, seeing who I want to avoid and why. Like, why is that person pissing me off? What's that about? It's always interesting. Hey, every day's a school day. See, we're just got to learn every day. So, big family weekend, and now I've got a big week, 2 birthdays in the October. All the Librans. So if you're a Libran, happy birthday. That's it. So, how can you honour your family, and what do you need to plan and prepare for? Planning and preparation is a big part. I've got a lot happening at the moment. My planner for 2025 is on its way, which is bloody exciting. And I'm also planning my energy festivals for 2025. So there's a lot going on at the moment. I'm planning all of that. So lots of planning, lots of honouring. Yeah. What about your family? I reckon it's a good idea to make a list of all the people you're related to and then see how many of them you would hang out with them even if you weren't related. How many of them you can't stand and you hope they just disappear and go down the plug hole one day. And someone says, what happened to him? And you're like, fuck, if I know he disappeared, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Who are those people? And who's in the middle? And I reckon they'll be thirds. That's my theory in my Lickable Third book, that everything in your life can go into thirds. Make a list and let me know if I'm right. Let me know if a third of your family are fucking awesome, a third of your family are just dreadful when you despise them, and then another third, adorable. And I'm talking about all the family. Nieces, nephews, uncles, aunties, the fucking extended, the whole bit. Make a list. It's quite a fun activity. There you go. Have a great week. Ciao.